Little Red Riding Hood, adapted by Jane Gerard, illustrated by Susan Spellman. Once upon a time, it was a very long time ago, at the edge of a very large forest, there was a tiny village. At the end of the village, on the edge of a forest, lived a little girl and her mother. The girl's grandmother loved her granddaughter more than kittens love mischief, and had made her a beautiful red cloak with a hood. The little girl wore the velvet ring cloak everywhere she went. She wore it so often that the other villagers called her Little Red Riding Hood. One day, Little Red Riding Hood's mother asked her to take a basket of good food to her grandmother, who was feeling sick. "Go quickly, dear, and don't wander through the forest," she told her little daughter. "Stay on the path. Grandmother's waiting." Little Red Riding Hood promised to go straight to her grandmother's. She put on her red cloak and set out right away. The little grandmother's house was deep in the heart of a deep, dark forest, but Little Red Riding Hood knew which path to take and was not afraid to walk home. She was not even afraid she met the big bad wolf. "Good morning," said the wolf. "Good morning, wolf," said Red Riding Hood. Now, the big bad wolf, as you probably know, was a wily animal and was not to be trusted. And this story is his very first appearance. But he was very polite when he spoke to Little Riding Hood. "Where are you going, little girl?" the wolf asked. "To Grandma's house," she said. "I'm taking this basket of food to her because she's sick." She answered all his questions happily. She even told the wolf where her grandmother lived and how to get there. While she chatted, the wily, crafty big bad wolf was thinking about how much she would like to eat Little Red Riding Hood and her basket of food. As the wolf walked with Little Red Riding Hood, she said, "You're marching along as if you're on your way to school. You should play a while and pick some flowers." Little Red Riding Hood looked around her. She saw what a pretty day it was and thought the wolf was right. She would enjoy the morning and pick some wildflowers to her grandmother. Little Red Riding Hood left the path and gathered the prettiest flowers she could find. She daydreamed a little as she searched, and she forgot about the promise she had made to her mother. Meanwhile, the wolf crept down the path until he was out of sight. Then he ran straight into Grandmother's house, lickety-split. Once he caught his breath, he knocked gently on the door. "Who is it?" called Grandmother. "It is I, Little Red Riding Hood. I have brought you some cake and bread and butter," said Wily Wolf. "Lift the latch and walk in," said Grandmother, for she was tucked in bed. But when she saw the wolf step in, she leaped right up, only to faint from fright. The wolf, wanting only to eat Little Red Riding Hood, pushed the poor old woman under the bed. He disguised himself with her lacy cap and nightgown and jumped into her bed. There he waited. When Little Red Riding Hood had packed an armload of perfect little wildflowers, she remembered her promise to her mother about her sick grandmother. She rushed to her grandmother's house and knocked on the door. He knocked on the door. "Who is it?" called the wolf, who made his voice sound just like Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother. "It's I, Little Red Riding Hood," called the girl. "Lift the latch and walk in," said the wolf. Little Red Riding Hood thought she could see her grandmother lying in bed, with her lacy cap pulled low and the covers tucked up to her chin. The wolf said, "Come a bit closer, my dear," in a high, quavering voice. Little Red Riding Hood came right up to the bedside. "My grandmother, what big ears you have," she said, taking a step back. "The better to hear you with, my dear," said the wolf. "What big eyes you have, grandmother," called the Red Riding Hood, taking another step back. "The better to see you with, my dear." "But grandmother, what big teeth you have." "Oh, the better to eat you with, my dear," cried the wolf. With that, the wolf leapt out of the bed and chased Little Riding Hood around the room. He was very hungry and had been looking forward to eating little girl. But Little Red Riding Hood was so quick for the big bad wolf. Uh, Swoop! There it is. She jumped out of his reach and ran to the door. Lucky for Little Riding Hood, the wolf was not used to wearing little grandma's nightgown. He kept tripping and stumbling over the hem and had a hard time chasing Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood ran straight out the open door. "Help! Help! A wolf!" cried Little Red Riding Hood. It happened that a hunter who had been after that whining wolf for days was in the woods nearby. He had followed the wolf's footprints all the way up to the path to Grandma's house. When the hunter heard Little Red Riding Hood's cries for help, he raised his gun as quick as a wink and shot the wolf dead as he was leaping through the front door of her grandmother's house. Little Red Riding Hood and the hunter went inside to find poor grandmother rising to her feet, covered with dust from head to toe, and a little upset about her experience. Little Red Riding Hood ran to her arms for a comforting hug. When she heard about her narrow escape from the wolf, grandmother insisted on a party to thank the kind hunter. Little Red Riding Hood, grandmother, and the hunter sat down at the kitchen table and shared a basket of good things to eat. Forever, Little Red Riding Hood never left the path when she walked in the woods. Unfortunately, the hunter was arrested for animal abuse. The end.